Hey there guys, it's Luke here, your digital concierge with Gramophone. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. This is going to be a video about how to unpackage and assemble the Salamander Archetype system. If you haven't seen our full video review of this system, please go watch that. It'll be linked down below. So we're going to go through, put it together, and I'm going to give you a few call outs about my experience of putting it together and just things that you should keep in mind. But before we do that, make sure you guys get subscribed to the Gramophone channel because there's a lot of great content on the way, so don't miss out. Now then, how do you put an archetype together? Alright guys, so when you first get your archetype system, obviously it's going to come in a box and you see these straps around the box, right? You're going to want to cut those off. Get yourself a sharp knife to do that. These hold on pretty tight and are pretty sturdy, so you're going to need it. And you're going to find the shelves right in the middle, a little bit of packaging on the sides, and then this long box right here is going to contain the columns, which of course are the primary support structure of the archetype. And you'll remember from our review video that these are threaded all the way down so that you have that almost infinite adjustability. Once you've got everything out of the box, get everything put aside, take a look here at this little bag of parts. This is going to have both your metal and your neoprene washers, and we're going to talk about making sure we get the order of how those go on correct. It's going to have the nuts, and then it's going to have the little top finishers as well as a few zip ties. Now, this is all coming in one individual bag, all these different parts, so dump this thing out in a safe place and then sort them out piece by piece. In the bag, you also get a wrench that is, of course, going to fit these nuts, and you get a handy little level so you don't have to go looking for a different one. I didn't really need the wrench, but it is good as a finishing tool to make sure everything is tightened right where you want it. So the first part can be a little bit tricky. I was trying to stay in frame of the video though so you guys could see it, so you have a little bit more flexibility at home. You're going to want to take the first shelf, get all 4 of the columns threaded through it, and then once you've got that, make sure you get your first 2 sets of washers on. You always want the neoprene washer touching the board itself so you get that acoustic isolation a little bit, right? And then finally, we're going to put on a nut. We're going to screw that in, and you can adjust it really for whatever height you want this to initially sit off the ground. The feet themselves, they kind of have threads in the inside of them, but not really because they're such soft rubber feet. Just be twisting, and that way you can know that you've got it pushed up and as tight as possible. That way everything sits nicely. Once you get that done, go ahead and try to stand it up. It's going to be a little bit wobbly at first because it's going to require you to get the top bolts on that first shelf to really start to give this thing a bit of a spine, if you will. So go ahead and start the process by first dropping down the neoprene washers, and then the steel ones, and then finally the bolts. It's a bit of a tedious process, but it's by no means difficult, just a little bit time consuming. Start screwing those nuts down toward that bottom shelf, and once all 4 get toward the bottom, just balance everything out between the bottom and the top, pull out the little level, set it down on the shelf, and make little adjustments as needed to get a nice flat shelf. Of course, you will be eyeballing this a little bit as you start out, but that's what the level's for, that once you get close enough, then you can dial it in. So what you want to do next is start with your next set of nuts that will become the support for the second shelf. Once all 4 of those are about evenly spaced, go ahead and drop down steel washers, then neoprene, because remember the neoprene or the rubber is always going to be in contact with the shelf. That way we get the best isolation and keep everything smooth, right? And of course it's not going to actually scratch. Soft is good. Get all 4 of those on and drop on the next shelf. And from then on, guys, it's really just rinse, wash, repeat, and you can just see me going through it if you want to watch the other shelves as well. Keep in mind as you're going to make sure those washers are on the side they belong. You'll see me catch myself almost getting it wrong. I think it was on the 3rd or 4th shelf, so keep that in mind. Neoprene, always touching shelf. Steel, always behind the neoprene. And finally, once you get to the top, this is honestly the easy part. You're going to drop on your last shelf once you have the nuts and washers in place for it for the bottom. And then on the top, you can see the finishing nuts, which are meant to make a nice, clean top piece. Those are just going to get screwed all the way down. They really have one setting, and you're going to take the bottom nut and push up on those until the shelf is nice and tight against these. Now, a little caveat about the finishing tops here is they don't need a neoprene washer under them. In fact, the instructions say don't do it. They're just meant to grab right on as they are, and that's that. And while you guys are going, make sure that you do not confuse the top nuts for the bottom feet. No, the bottom feet are these soft rubber things. These top nuts are steel. But you could see how one could easily confuse this before comparing the two. And guys, as you can see, that's really all there is to it. The Archetype is a really good stand. It's sturdy, it's highly adjustable, it's well made, and once you get the finishing touches on it, it can hold a lot of weight as well. And I know I mentioned it earlier, but allow me to again. To learn all of the fine details and intricacies of this shelf, be sure to check out our full video review of its features and design. But if you have already seen that video, or you're ready to take an Archetype home for yourself, head on over to skybygramophone.com where you can check out securely and have one of these great units shipped fast and free straight to your door. Also, you can find these in one of our showrooms. Be sure to give us a call or stop by over at Timonium, Columbia in Gaithersburg, Maryland. And while you're out, be sure to visit our lovely Kitchen Design Center in Hunt Valley. And you can find us on social media too. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Houzz, and Twitter, as well as a few others. Links will be down below. So once you're finished building your shelf and you're ready to move on and look for a new project idea, or to schedule a service request, or to speak to one of our hi-fi home theater and interior design experts, get inspired at gramophone.com and ask at gramophone.com for any questions you may have about anything I've covered here on the channel. Alright guys, please give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, drop a comment down below and say hi, and subscribe to the Gramophone channel for all of your audio and home theater needs. Let me know what you think, guys. Do you enjoy this kind of video? Was it helpful for you? And would you want to see more content like this? Please let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is always a pleasure. Be seeing you.